So a couple of days back, I finished working on a program on high stakes conversations for a client. And during the workshop, what happened was that we started discussing about this advice of replacing and with but. And the argument, as we all know, is about that but is a negative word, and anything that you say after you say but, anything that you say before you say but gets negated or it gets nullified, and is a better word for you to use if you want to stay positive. Now, here's the thing. I subscribe to that idea, and I agree with it that you should sound more positive, or you should come across more positive. Having said that, not every but can be replaced with and this is something which has bothered me because but and they are two very different words, and they have two different meanings. But if we were to replace, if we were to replace them every single time, then many a times it completely changes the meaning of what you're trying to communicate. This was validated for me uh, on two occasions, and that's the reason I thought I would talk about it today and share with you what is a work around that, or what is a better way of using but and. First was a video from Chris Voss, an FBI negotiator and a great communicator. And he said that all humans are born with five basic emotions: anger, sadness, disgust, shame, and joy. So he says that out of five basic emotions, four are negative. So we are all wired for negativity. We are driven more by negative emotion than by positive emotions. And if we were to if we were to not use those four emotions, then we are leaving out a lot of tools of influence on the table. So that was the first one that made me rethink this about using only positive words. The second is a post by Wes Cow, an executive coach who also talks about strategic communication. And she also said the same thing, that but and you cannot just replace every but with an because it might just lose its meaning. And here she suggests a strategic way of using but and. So for example, you are giving feedback to your team member who has been working on a presentation, and what you tell that person is that, oh, great, this looks good, formatting is good, the flow is great, and everything is fine, but the images, they don't align to what we are trying to communicate. Now, as someone who's giving feedback, you feel that you have communicated to your team member that 90% of what you have done is great, only 10% improvement or revision which is required. Unfortunately, the way the team member receives the same communication is, so 99% of what I've done is great, and there's only 1% things which are not right, and my manager has to pick up on those 1% things. This is how anybody would receive a feedback when you say but. So Weskow's workaround is this, that invert your negatives and positives. Whatever that negative you want to say, you say that first, and then you tell the positive. Lead with the negative and then finish with the positive. That way, what happens is that when you lead with the negative, it doesn't completely negate whatever feedback that you want to give, but but at least it softens it. At the same time, when you finish off with a positive statement, people go away feeling much better that yes, there were challenges, but overall everything was great. So for the same example, if I were to rephrase it or restructure it and lead with the negative, it may sound something like, you know what, these images, they don't align with the core message of the presentation. But having said that, I think the flow is great, the structure is good, the formatting is good, and everything else seems to be fine. We just need to work only on the images. Then you see that it sounds much better. And I have another example of this, which I came across in Jeff Bezos' video, where he was talking about making decisions with his leadership team and sometimes having a disagreement. So he says that there are times where I disagree with my team, but I also tell them that I disagree, but I will commit, in the sense that there may be a disagreement, but once we have agreed to go ahead with something, even if I don't agree with it, then I will 100% commit to it. So in this example also, you can see that he leads with the negative. He says, I disagree, but commit with a positive. do. So in my mind, there are three things that can be done for us to start using this framework for our communication. One is to start leading your feedbacks or start leading with negatives and finish them off with positives. Second one, start to look for all the statements in your written or oral communication and see if we are leading with the negative or we are leading with the positive. And finally, not necessary that this framework might apply to every situation. Sometimes you have to lead with the positive and finish off with the negative. Sometimes the other way around could work better. And in that case, it's better that we write down our communication in both forms and see which one works better in that situation. So play it by the ear. So I hope this was helpful because it certainly was to me. And if you have any comments on this one and when you try it out, let me know how it turns out for you. Thank you.